Hey y'all. So last week today, I shared with everybody that I was HIV positive and that I have been HIV positive for 14 years. I know my video was all over the place. I was scared, I was nervous, and I was tired. So I decided to start. Well, actually, I had already did this. I was already in the process of the tea about HIV, where I was going to be sharing certain things about HIV. It's just so happening that all of this just comes together. So every Saturday moving forward, I will be sharing some tea about my HIV status or either just HIV in general. So I know on my live that I did in my YouTube video last week, when I told you guys that I was HIV positive, I never told you guys a story. I just told you guys about my pain and my suffering and what I was going through. I never really said what happened to me. So I know everybody want to know what happened to me. So definitely like and subscribe to this channel so that you can get more information and learn more about who I am, and learn more about the infection, learn more about just everything when it comes to HIV and me. So definitely like and subscribe to the channel, and please do not forget to click the notification button. It's like a little bell. You want to click that so that you can get daily notifications. So I'm gonna start out today with, oh my God, it's weave. I'm gonna start today with explaining to you guys my first, when I first found out that my partner was infected. It was like whoa, you know what I'm saying? What? Like what? I think at that moment I got numb. Like, what does this mean? I got numb to the reality of life. So I was like, I don't want to know. So the doctor was like, well, you're pregnant. You need to go and get tested. I know in my life I was like, I was 9 months pregnant. I was not 9 months pregnant. I was just I guess I don't really know, but that wasn't the truth. The truth is I think I was 7.5 months pregnant, if I can remember. I had my daughter Christmas Eve. I found that I was HIV positive like in November. So I had to be around almost 8 months when I found out. So I said I didn't want to know. And the doctor, she told me, she was like, well, you need to go and find out because you have a baby inside of you. So I'm like, I got a baby inside of me. You know how when something happens and you just get numb. I just was numb. And she says, you gotta find out. So I called my OB-GYN and I told them what had happened. And they was like, come in right away. So I went in and I got tested, and they told me the day to come back. I think it was like a week later. Within that week, I didn't think HIV. I didn't nothing. My whole thing was to make sure my partner was okay. So I was just really taking care of him. I really wasn't focused on me and what I was going through and what I was experiencing, because I knew I was going to be all right. I always had God in me. I always had a piece of the Lord in me. At that moment, I really didn't know what that meant. I really didn't know. I wasn't really spiritual, and I really didn't know the word back then, but I knew who God was, and I knew I was gonna be okay. So that really wasn't my focus. My focus was my partner and my baby. So I was numb. So I went to the doctor, and they was like, they had the doc. This is how I knew I was infected, because they had my doctor. They had my OB doctor that I had been seeing, and remind you, I had already had a son, so I had the same doctor I had been having. So my doctor, another doctor was there. Case manager was there, a social worker was there, and a HIV prevention lady was there. So it was 5 people there. So as I'm in the room, and my doctor is telling me, actually I had a midwife. My midwife is telling me that all these people was coming. So I already knew. So I'm just sitting there like, wow, okay. So they came in, everybody came in, they introduced themselves, and I was just sitting there. And I was looking, and the lady came, and she was like, I never forget her. I never, ever, ever forget her. And I'm sorry if I say your name on here and you mad at me, but it is what it is. Angela White, I would never forget this lady. She was a short lady, and I was sitting up high on the little thing that they had you to sit on. And she came, and she grabbed my arm, and she said, hi, my name is Angela. And I was like, Angela, okay. So my midwife, she said, okay, we took the test. My midwife said, we took the tests, and they came back, you're HIV positive. And I was like, they took every piece of normal out of me that I had been experiencing my whole life. My normal, my normal human being feeling that I felt all my life, they took that from me. It just went away. It just left my body. And I was just looking at her. I was looking at them. And they just was doing all this talking. And all I heard was blah, 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 blah. I really didn't hear anything. Blah, 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 blah. I just couldn't hear nothing. And I was just sitting there, just looking. I just didn't hear anything but blah, 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 blah. Mouths moving. And one of them, I can't remember which one of them said, they said, do you have any questions? And I said, I can't have no more kids. And they all looked at me like, and one of them said, what? I said, I can't have no more kids. They said, yes, you can have kids. And I was like, okay. They was like, that's all you want to know? I was like, yeah. Because I grew up in a family where it was only a little, it was just, okay. When I get excited, y'all know so growing up, it was just me, my sister, and my little brother. My mother only had one sibling because her other sibling died when she was like 18. So my auntie only had 3 kids, but her kids was grown when at my time when I came up. And then my cousin, my aunt that died, her daughter only had 1 child. So my family was really pretty much small. So I had already said I wanted a big family. I wanted like 5, 6, 7 kids. I had already said that long time ago. Me and my siblings and cousins, we talked about this. We wanted a lot of kids because it was not a lot of us growing up. So my thing was, I can't have more kids. I just wanted to know, can I have more kids? So they said, yes, you can have more kids. So I said, okay. So then they just started telling me, about the medication that I needed to take while I was pregnant. The medication was AZT. So I'm like, okay. So they was like, when you have a baby, everything that's inside of you goes inside of your baby. So they was just telling me that I needed to take my medication so that the medicine can prevent my baby from being infected. So if I can remember and I can say this correctly, when your baby is inside of you, is a wall that is a wall from the what is it called? The baby that's in the stomach. Is a wall from you into the baby. It's just this thick wall right here. So when you taking the medication, that's helping the baby not get infected. If I'm saying this correctly. So when she told me, I'm like, okay. So all I gotta do is take some medicine, cool, you know? So then she started explaining to me that when I had my baby, don't come to the doctor when I know I'm about to have birth. They wanted me to come in when I first felt when I felt anything, they wanted me to come in, because the longer that the ACT is in my body and is doing all its job, that there will be a better chance of my baby not being infected. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, okay, I could do that. Then they told me that when my baby is born, they needed to take her and test her. They needed to take 3 tests on the baby. So I'm like, 3 tests? I'm like, what that's for? So they said that they needed to take 1 test when she was born, and they was going to give her AZT right away. She needed to take it, I think it was 3 times a day. I think if it was every 6 hours, 8 hours, I can't really remember. I ain't had kids in a long time, y'all, but I know my baby had to take medication when she was born. So the baby had to take it at birth, then the baby had to take it at 3 months, and then at 6 months. At 6 months, then if it's 3 negative tests, then the baby is fine. So I said okay. I said okay to everything. My thing was, I just wanted to make sure that my baby was okay. That was it. I didn't really care about, I'm not gonna say I didn't care about what happened to me, because I was numb. I was like, you know what? I was scared to think about it. I was scared out of my mind. I was scared, and I didn't want to experience the scared feeling. So I put all of my everything, I switched it from my partner and my child to make sure that they was okay. Made me feel like I would be okay. Long as they was fine, I knew I could be fine. I really did not focus on shit. Trivia. You have HIV. What do you need for you? What do you have to do for you? I never really focused on that. That really was not my focus. I'm serious. It really was not never my focus. I knew that I don't know. God just always been with me. I just knew I'd be fine. So, okay. So they told me, about the medication for the baby and what we have to do and all that. And I was like, okay, fine. So then they was like, okay, we're going to run some tests. We're going to run some tests on you. And matter of fact, they had already ran the tests. They ran the tests, and they explained to me that once I had my baby, I didn't need to take medicine no more. I'm like, what? I don't don't need to take medicine no more when I have my baby. Why? They explained to me that my CD4 was 900. No, my CD4 was 700. And my viral load was undetected. So I'm like, what do that mean? I'm like, what do that mean? What do that mean? What do that mean? So they just was explaining to me that someone that's newly diagnosed, usually they viral load be hundreds of thousands and hundreds of thousands. And my viral load was not hundreds of thousands. My viral load was less than, I think it was less than 100,000 copies. So that meant that I did not have a lot of infection in my blood. So that meant that my viral load would be undetected. So like with your CD4, a regular person that's infected, their CD4 is between 500 and 1500. My CD4 was at that time 700. So I was perfectly fine to not take medication after I had the baby. But when they was telling me this, it was like they was speaking Spanish because I didn't know what the heck they was talking about. But I said okay, because I knew they knew what they was talking about, even though I didn't know what they was talking about. So I'm like, okay. So I went home after all this information. I went home. You know what? They still had me on. I still was taking AZT. That's what I was taking. I was on AZT. After when I left there, that's what I left there with. I left there with AZT. And AZT is a medication. That's the first medication that they had. Everybody used to get AZT. They until all these other medications came about and stuff. So I'm like, okay. So I went home, and from that point, it just wasn't a me no more. It was a make sure that everybody is okay. Make sure that my baby is okay. Make sure that my mate is okay. It was never, I never really sat down and said, Shatrivia, you're HIV positive. Shatrivia, how do you feel? Shatrivia, Shay, what's going on? Never. I never done that. It took me many years to really sit down and really say, Shatrivia, are you okay? You have HIV? I never done that. I lived through everybody else. I lived through my mate. I lived through my baby, watching her as the first test when she was born. Like, okay, I'm gonna tell y'all when my baby was born. So when my baby was born, I had her at 6 o'clock. I was in the hospital like midnight hours. So the whole day I was taking medication, the whole entire day. They had me on the AZT, but they had like a thing over the medication for my family. When my family came in, they didn't know. And I never told my family. I'll tell y'all about that in a different story. A different video. So they had me taking the medication. And then they was telling me that, and listen, some people when they have baby, some people when they are HIV positive, they can have a vaginal birth, but some people have to have a C-section. It just depends on the situation. Because my numbers was fine, I could have a vaginal delivery. So when it was time for me to deliver, I was scared out of my mind because my life is finna change. My life has changed already. Now I'm finna experience this about this child. If she is gonna be okay. I was like really scared out of my mind. But I gave birth and they took my baby away. They took her away and they got her tests. They got her tests and they came back and they was like, Shatrivia is negative. She's first test is good. You know, just make sure you take her medication. She should be fine. The first test really is really important. So she took her test and I took my baby. And you know what I told my family? I told my family that she had pneumonia when she had a cold. Wait, she was sick when she was born with some type of cold or something. I said she had a cold, and I had them giving her medication because I really couldn't give her medication. I really couldn't take care of my baby when she first was born because I looked at her like, why did I do this to her? Like, how did I allow this to happen and I'm pregnant? So I really had a lot of emotional things I was going through. So my mother helped me out a lot. My mother never actually, I don't even know if that lady looked at the medication to see what kind it was. I'm serious. I really still, to this day, she's not here so I can't ask her. But I don't know if she really looked at the bottle and like investigated or researched it, because if she did, she would have known that that was a medication that somebody take that's HIV positive. So I really don't know. I really think she did not look at it. But that's what I did. I had my mother taking care of her. I was taking care of her, but I wasn't taking care of her like I should have been because I was going through all these mental things. So that's pretty much it. That's really how I found out that I was HIV positive and how I pretty much took care of myself those couple of weeks until I had my baby. And my baby wound up being okay. After the third test, she wound up being negative. So she was okay, and I made sure that I kept her in studies. Studies where they ask me different questions like, do she get sick, or like do she catch fevers. They check her cholesterol, her height, weight, just all these type of things. They take her blood and they store it somewhere in New York, and all these different things. I just made sure I always kept her in studies, because they said that by my baby, well, even if she wasn't, by my daughter being negative and me being positive, they wanted to test it to see a mother that has a baby that's negative versus a mother that's positive that has a baby that's positive. They just wanted to see certain things. So I definitely wanted to be a part of that research to make sure that whatever I did right or whatever they was doing right, that they can continue to do those things right, so that other people can have children and the children don't be infected with HIV. So that's pretty much my story of how I found out that I was infected, and how I took medicine for my child when she was born. So next week I'll be bringing something different. If y'all have any questions or concerns, please comment in the comments. If you want me to make a specific video, definitely you can put it here in the comments, or you can email me at uniquepresentz at yahoo.com. I definitely look at my emails every day to be checking. Also, I will be doing prayer calls on Fridays, depending on how many people reach out to me in regards to prayer. I've had so many people, I have so many people in my inbox on Facebook and here on YouTube as well. So I definitely want to make sure that I continue to do that. I did a call last night. It was amazing. A lot of people jumped on, and it was a success. So I definitely want to keep that going, because a lot of people is hurting. A lot of people is hurting silence, and that's what my video was about. Is no more silence. We breaking the silence. Silence in whatever area you may be going in. It's finna cease. We are about to be healed. So I definitely want to share with you guys I want to share with you guys my strength and what kept me while I was going through all that pain, and it's the word of God. So I'm going to be sharing those things too. My book will be dropping real soon, and I have a devotional book on hope that will be dropping real soon too. Like I said, to share what kept me when I was suffering in silence. So I'm gonna drop that book too. So y'all definitely stay in tune and keep up with me, y'all. And thanks a lot for subscribing to the channel, and y'all check me out later.